Welcome to Behind the Law with Justin Clark, the show that takes you behind the law and answers your toughest legal questions.
Welcome to the Behind the Law show with Justin Clark of Gregory and Clark Attorneys at Law in Longwood. Now, we are taking your calls right now at the law office, so feel free to call us at 321-282-1055. That's 321-282-1055. Today, we're talking about bankruptcy and all that's involved, and we welcome your calls.
Sometimes bankruptcy is the right way to go. Sometimes it's not. Hopefully, throughout this show, we can figure out exactly if you have any questions, figure out which way is the right way for you.
And we're going to talk, too, about, I'm going to ask Justin, are there things that you can keep out of the bankruptcy and still keep paying on? Maybe you want to keep paying on your car. Maybe you want to keep paying on, something else. How is that all working out? I guess there's probably a misunderstanding, too, Justin. I guess some people think, well, if I declare bankruptcy, I don't even owe a house payment. I can keep my house. But that's not the case, right?
Let me try to explain this because it's a little hard to understand. If you file a bankruptcy, you don't owe the money to the lender, okay? So you're right. You don't owe Bank of America $150,000 anymore. However, they can come take your house. I mean, so it's not like you all of a sudden get the house for free, of course. Mm-hmm. But people also get confused where if you file a Chapter 7 bankruptcy, it's cash all the chips in. Again, you throw everything in the pot and you're done. But you can still keep your house. You don't have to give it up. A lot of times people come to me behind in their house payment, ton of credit card debt, and want to file a Chapter 7. And they say, but I want to keep my house. And I say, brother, you owe $300,000 and your house is worth $100,000. We're not going to reaffirm your house. However, what we can do is after the bankruptcy is over, we do a modification. You start making your new monthly payment. As long as the bank is getting paid, they're not going to foreclose on you. They can, but they're not going to. I've never seen a bank foreclose on anyone who's paying their payments, okay? So if you want to do a Chapter 7 and keep your house, to me it would be malpractice for me to advise you to reaffirm $200,000 in negative. Am I making sense here? I don't know if I am.
I think one of the things that I'd like for you to explain, if you could please, is the word reaffirm. If you reaffirm an item, what are you doing to it?
When you file bankruptcy, you're basically saying, okay, I don't owe that money anymore. You can take whatever it is back. But the bankruptcy courts recognize that people need cars, people need automobiles, people need homes to go live in. So oftentimes people come in and they have a loan on their car. They want to file bankruptcy due to all this other debt. So you're allowed to reaffirm that debt, meaning, okay, I filed bankruptcy. I don't owe anyone anything. But I'm telling this car lot right here, the car dealer or whatever, that I'm going to go ahead and reaffirm that debt, meaning I owe it again, okay? So then they could come sue you for that, but that's the way you keep your car, and you can. Another, a little misconception about a Chapter 7 bankruptcy, people come in and say, dude, I got no money, I owe all this debt, I don't know what to do, but I do have a Porsche free and clear, it's worth $50,000, can I keep it? No, you can't keep it. So if you file a Chapter 7 bankruptcy and you have assets like that, you have to be prepared to give it to the trustee to sell to pay off your creditors. Ooh. Or you can buy it back, so to speak, which you're not going to have the money to buy it back probably. So a Chapter 7 bankruptcy is not something you can do if you have a lot of assets.
So this isn't something to be entered into lightly by just seeing a billboard on I-4 and saying, well, that guy does bankruptcy, I can't pay my Visa. Let me go down and talk to this guy. $750, I'm out, and no.
Absolutely.
It's not that simple,
Absolutely not. I'll give you some of the positives about a Chapter 7, though, too. Most people who come in to see me who are who need to do a Chapter 7, their credit's already in the dumps, okay? Because they're not paying the credit card. They're not paying the house. Their credit's already very bad. And they say, but I don't want to do a Chapter 7 because it's going to mess up my credit. And I'm like, dude, your credit is so bad already. In fact, I think a Chapter 7 bankruptcy might help your credit because all of that debt gets off the books. And in a couple years, first of all, as soon as the Chapter 7 is over, you're going to get credit card offers in the mail, believe it or not. It might be $500 or $1,000. And I tell my clients to take that because then it helps build their credit back up.
Time for us to take a break right here as we're discussing bankruptcy with attorney Justin Clark. But if you'd like to talk to an attorney right now off the air, we welcome you to do that at 321-282-1055. That's 321-282-1055. We'll be right back after a short break.
For more Behind the Law, including past episodes, check out our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Gregory and Clark.
They've been calling me, and I explained to them that I'm going to file, DK. Right. And they said, well, it don't matter to us. This is different. And that after 7 years, we'll reapply it. And the question is, can they do that?
Justin Clark will be right back with more Behind the Law. Welcome to Behind the Law with Justin Clark, the show that takes you behind the law and answers your toughest legal questions.
Welcome back to the show. The topic is, of course, bankruptcy and how that can help you to maybe save your home in these perilous times. And we're taking your calls right now. Right now, we do have Bill in Kissimmee. Bill, give us your question to Attorney Justin Clark.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I rented a house up in Georgia. I was traveling with the company, and I got laid off. Now, I still owed like 3 or 4 months left on my lease, and he got a judgment, and another company bought that judgment. And they've been calling me, and I explained to them that I'm going to file, BK. Right. And they said, well, it don't matter to us. This is different. And that after 7 years, we'll reapply it. And the question is, can they do that?
No.
And what's my option?
No, of course they can't. First of all, it's stay on the line, by the way, Bill. It's a pretty small judgment, right? How much is it?
$1,600.
$1,600. See, this is what I'm talking about, though. I'm not going to send someone into bankruptcy for $1,600. I need to know some other things, Bill. What's that? Do you own a house now or no?
No, sir.
What other credit card debt do you have?
I'm probably in debt, with medical bills and stuff like that, well over $100,000.
Okay, that's credit cards, medical bills, everything, huh?
Yes, sir.
What's the work situation? This might be the most important question. What do you do for work now?
Actually, I'm not. Okay. I got laid off, and then it's been miserable right now.
I understand. And this is something, Rob, we didn't talk about earlier. You have to qualify to do a Chapter 7. If you're making $80,000 a year, in all likelihood, unless you have a bunch of kids running around, you cannot qualify for a 7. You have to do a 13. Back in the day, about 10 years ago, almost anyone could do a Chapter 7. Now there's what's called the means test. So they're not going to let some rich guy go and file bankruptcy and get rid of all their creditors for no reason, basically. You have to qualify. A general rule of thumb is about $40,000, okay, for a single person. Now that Bill's unemployed, of course, he can file bankruptcy. And Bill, what I would tell you, I don't know what your job prospects are in the future, but if you think you're going to get a job making more than $40,000 or $50,000, you might want to file bankruptcy now to get rid of all that. Because if you don't, timeliness is very important in bankruptcy. Because let's say he gets a job tomorrow making $70,000, he's not going to be able to file a Chapter 7. He'll have to do a 13, which is a nightmare. Now is probably the time for you to file bankruptcy. Get rid of this $100,000 in credit card debt when things are bad. Get rid of it. Let's go find you a new job, making good money, and start a new life.
Let's talk for a minute, too, while Bill's on the line. Bill, hang on. I'm really worried about the fact that this company, and we talk about, Justin's always talking about banks calling you and how rude they are. There's nobody ruder than these people who buy somebody's judgment or buy somebody's loan, and they start calling you and harassing you right at the dinner hour all the time.
They're the scum of the earth.
And at 8 o'clock in the morning, and they're reading a script. No matter what you say to them, they answer back, are you refusing to pay this loan? Are you refusing? Are you telling us no? And you say, hey, that loan's over 7 years old. What is your problem? Statute of limitations has run out. Aren't there legal ramifications?
You better believe it.
Can't you sue them now for like $1,000 or something like that?
We had one of my good friends, Jim Turner, former Orange County Circuit judge around here on the show the other day.
That's right.
And all he does really is deal with these people who are harassing, these creditors who are harassing people left and right. There are very strict guidelines on what they can do and what they can say to you. And I think it might even be worth reaching out to Jim Turner about that. You can always call my office, and I'll put you guys in touch, Bill, because you might be entitled to at least $1,000 or even $2,000 with no legal fees up front or anything. The creditor pays the legal fees, so that's worth a shot too. But Bill, I think my advice to you is we really want to consider getting rid of all this debt now while things are bad. And then let's look forward to the future, and let's make some money, and you don't have to worry about any of this debt.
Time for us to take a break right here as we're discussing bankruptcy with attorney Justin Clark. But if you'd like to talk to an attorney right now off the air, we welcome you to do that at 321-282-1055. That's 321-282-1055. We'll be right back after a short break. What are the steps to go toward bankruptcy, to come and talk to you? What do we need to have in our shoebox when we bring it in the office?
Stay tuned. Justin Clark will be right back with more Behind the Law. Welcome to Behind the Law with Justin Clark, the show that takes you behind the law and answers your toughest legal questions.
Welcome back to the show. The topic is, of course, bankruptcy and how that can help you to maybe save your home in these perilous times. Justin Clark has a lot to say, but maybe while the show is going on, you'd like to talk one-on-one to an attorney. Well, we welcome that call at our offices. There are associates standing by at Gregory and Clark in the offices in Longwood. Give us a call, 321-282-1055. That's 321-282-1055. You can call right now. And now, let's go back to Justin Clark. What are the steps to go toward bankruptcy, to come and talk to you? What do we need to have in our shoebox when we bring it in the office?
Quick story. I'm sorry. I have to follow up on this, Rob.
Sorry.
We were talking about this guy harassing Bill, okay, calling every day. I don't care if you file bankruptcy. I'm coming after you, man. Listen, it happens to everybody, including yours truly here. So we had a phone bill at my law firm that wasn't paid. It wasn't paid because it wasn't due, in our opinion. And these guys sold the debt. I won't tell you what company. They sold the debt to one of these local bill collectors, and this jerk called every single day. My secretary in tears, Justin, I don't care if we don't owe it, just pay it, please pay it. I was like, absolutely, positively not. And I had this guy come in my office, a new client, literally 5 minutes after this guy had my secretary in tears, and I said, I don't even know what's going on here. This bill collector just called, and my secretary's in tears. I was like, I apologize if I seem a little frazzled. He said, what is the company? I said, it's company B. He said, really? I work there. And so this prospective client who actually became a client of mine worked there, and he was like, I'm so sorry. You know what I did? I sued him. I sued them for doing what they did, because these debt collectors have certain laws that they have to go by. Do not let them push you around. And let me tell you one more thing. These debt collectors are the same people going home getting harassed by other people because they're making $10 an hour and they can't pay their bills either.
You know, the one thing, there was a story on the national news 3 weeks ago. I don't know if you caught it, but there was actually a company that set themselves up in North Carolina, and they were making these phone calls on debts that didn't even exist. But they were so good at what they did and so intimidating, they were scaring the bejesus out of our older population, which I think should be a felony to the nth degree.
Oh, yeah.
They were scaring them so much, they were saying, we're going to stop your Medicare, we're going to stop your Social Security, you owe this money, and you have to pay us now. Well, what if I can only pay $25 a week? Then you're going to pay us $25 a week. The federal marshals had to come in and shut that company down, but they were making hundreds of thousands of dollars a month.
Easy.
The bills never existed.
It's shocking, disturbing.
It's nuts.
I know. What are you gonna do?
Back to bankruptcy. I'm at my house. I'm talking to my significant other, if I had one, and I'm saying, okay, I guess it's just too much. You ran up those credit card bills, not me. Okay. Anyway, we've agreed that there's a problem in our family. We'd like to stay together. We'd like to keep our house. All right. What do I need to bring to the firm to see if this is the right thing to do or not?
I don't need anything for our initial consult, which, first of all, I would never charge you for, okay?
Thank you.
I like to sit down and really get to know people and know their situation, because life situation and your age and when are you going to retire, all this stuff comes into play. I want to really get to know the person before I figure out what's best for them. You know, I don't want to just say, okay, I met with you for 5 minutes, this is the way to go. I need to know, are you going to retire next year? Or are you going to work for 20 more years? There's so many variables that go into it. I don't need anything other than your story. You got to tell me what's going on. And if we decide, when we decide what direction to go, that's when I will give you a list of all the financial documents you need to get for me. And there's a lot. I mean, you're talking about pay stubs, tax returns, bank statements, mortgage statements, everything. The one good thing to bring to my office when you first come, though, is a copy of your mortgage statement or statement, something that tells me how much you owe, what your interest rate is, how far behind you are, with the loan number. Because the first thing I do is I send a letter to the mortgage company saying, don't ever call my client again. If you call them again, we're going to sue you. I mean, that's all there is to it. Because this harassment's getting out of control with these banks. So we send what we call a cease and desist letter day one, and I have to have the loan number for that. So all I need is a mortgage statement. That's it.
All right, very good. So you got your marching orders. If you want to call the attorney's office right now, we welcome you to do so at 321-282-1055. That's 321-282-1055. Gregory and Clark, attorneys at law in Longwood, ready to take your calls right now. We're talking bankruptcy. Behind the Law.
Our show is pre-recorded for TV, but if you have a question, call us live on the radio, Sundays at noon, FM 96.5 WDBO. But if you have questions right now, Justin's office has lawyers and associates standing by. Give them a call at 321-282-1055.
Is it acceptable or even permissible for one of the spouses to claim bankruptcy while the other one continues on without harm.
Stay tuned. Justin Clark will be right back with more Behind the Law. Welcome to Behind the Law with Justin Clark, the show that takes you behind the law and answers your toughest legal questions.
Hey, welcome back to the show. We are asking the experts right here on News Talk 96.5 WDBL. Justin Clark is taking your calls right now at 407-297-9696 or 855-297-9696. Off the air, you can talk to an attorney or an associate right now at 321-282-1055, 321-282-1055. And we go back to the phones. So we have Brenda on the line from Holly Hill. Go ahead.
Hi, thank you for taking my phone call. Basically, what we have in my family is two entrepreneurs. My husband's business went on to succeed. My business failed. When my business failed, of course, we ended up having a significant loss of income, which caused us to lose our home. But I also had acquired tremendous debt along with my half of the home. Is it acceptable or even permittable for one of the spouses to claim bankruptcy while the other one continues on without harm?
I mean, in a word, yes, but with many, many, many variables. What's the house situation? Do you have one mortgage or two mortgages?
We had two mortgages. The house is done. It's already been auctioned off.
So your house was foreclosed upon, huh?
Yes, it is.
What kind of income does your husband have coming in? And keep in mind, I understand that you make more than your tax returns show because you're self-employed, you write stuff off. What did the tax return last year show? Do you remember? Any idea?
No, I don't, because he kept it, his is all separate from mine now, so I just concentrated on mine.
What kind of work is it? What kind of work does he do?
He's a mechanic.
Okay. He's a mechanic, and he owns his own shop, or he works for someone else?
He works for someone else.
Okay, but what you don't know, Rob, all mechanics basically work for someone else. It's all a piecemeal type thing. Mm-hmm. It's all 1099 always, no matter what, basically. So they're really considered self-employed. I would imagine what you have to do if you're going to file bankruptcy, to qualify for a Chapter 7, you have to pass what I call that means test, okay? Yeah. So even if Brenda, you're the only one that's going to file, we have to include his income to see if you guys qualify. But you can file yourself. My first concern is you got foreclosed on already, so the bank has a right to come sue you for the difference. So if he doesn't file, he can still get sued for that. What kind of credit card debt do you have? What kind of credit card debt does he have?
He doesn't have any kind of debt. I kept all of my business situation away from the home.
Right.
So for me personally, I ended up with about $200,000 in debt.
Holy mackerel. Wow. Really? Is that all credit cards?
That's including the home, my half of the home.
I gotcha. That's a lot of debt, and you're not working at all right now. Is that true?
No.
Okay.
No.
I really do think with that kind of debt, we might want to sit down and figure out some way for at least you to file a bankruptcy. And I mean, is he totally opposed to it? I guess, or
no, not at all.
Okay. I think we probably need to get together. I know you're in Holly Hill. I'm about 45 minutes from you. I'm about up in Longwood, right off of Interstate 4. Get a ton of Volusia County people because we're right there. I'd love to sit down with, hopefully both of you, and call us 321-282-1055. I think we almost have to do something with your debt. That's insurmountable amounts of debt, really. You know what I mean?
If he were to be set up, and I'm just pie in the sky here, if he were to be set up as a 1099 under JMD Mechanic at Large as a corporation,
right?
Does that make any difference here? Is he separate because of that designation?
Well, he's separate. I mean, they're only going to include his actual personal income.
Okay.
So if people do bankruptcy that are self-employed all the time. It doesn't. They don't care what your gross income for the business is. It's what your personal income is. So, in all likelihood, I'd say he makes about $800 to $1,000 a week, which is where most so-called self-employed mechanics are if they're busy. If he's not busy, he's making about $600 a week. If she's at zero, in all likelihood, they can probably do a Chapter 7 and get rid of all of her debt. And for the record, Brenda, I'm sorry that your business failed, but I'm sure that you had a lot of help in making his succeed. Your support.
I like that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Have
Very good.
day.
And don't hesitate to try again, Brenda. You know, a lot of great people had many failures before they got there.
If at first you don't succeed, what is it?
Try again.
Try again.
All right, we're talking bankruptcy, and we're down to the last two or 3 minutes of the program. So, what are your guidelines? What are the basic guidelines?
You know, let me tell you how a bankruptcy can help save your house.
Yeah.
We're going through a weird climate here in Central Florida right now. We went almost overnight from a market that was incredibly great for buyers to a market that is fantastic for sellers. The prices are still low, don't get me wrong. There's literally no inventory out there. If you're looking to buy a house, let's say you're in a house right now and you're underwater and you're like, I just want to get rid of this house, go buy another house. It's a struggle right now. There are two big hedge funds here in Central Florida that are putting millions and millions, if not billions of dollars into this market to create an artificial bubble. So when you hear about the market going up over the next year or 2 years, I promise you there's a great deal of artificiality to it. Mm-hmm. It is this company literally that has so much money. They have picked out our market and said, we're going to dump so much money into it, and we're going to rent the houses, and we're going to get a nice cap rate for 3 years, and then we're going to dump them, and then we're going to have another bubble, okay? Maybe saving your house isn't the worst idea anymore. I've tried to convince people to short sale for the last 4 or 5 years. Now the market is going up slightly. We have ways to get rid of your second mortgage. We have ways to modify your first mortgage all the way down to a 2% interest rate and sometimes even get a principal reduction. If you were to go try to rent a house right now, the rental market is very, very strong for landlords.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to pay more in rent than you are for owning your house. If you like your house, but you feel like you're in foreclosure already and you've been working with the bank and you have bank fatigue, don't let the bank win again by giving up. If you want to keep your house, there are many ways to do it. Bankruptcy is one option. And by all means, call me at 321-282-1055. I would never charge you to come in, sit down, let's figure out what's best for you. Maybe bankruptcy is best. Maybe loan modification is best. Who knows? But don't give up. Don't just let your house go.
Well, that's going to wrap up our discussion for this week on bankruptcy, but there's so much more to talk about. So we hope that you'll join us next week right here on TV 27.
Thank you for watching Behind the Law with Justin Clark. Be sure to join us again next week as Justin takes you behind the law and answers your legal questions.